Standing 1,083 feet above Paris, the Eiffel Tower is arguably the world's most recognizable structure, visited by 7 million people annually, photographed countless times every day, the undisputed symbol of France itself. But this iron giant almost never existed. It was supposed to be demolished after 20 years, dismissed by leading artists as a metal monstrosity, and survived only through luck, ingenuity, and one man's stubborn determination to prove iron could be art. The tower's history is far stranger than its fairy tale image suggests. Suicide attempts, scientific experiments, Nazi occupation, con artists selling it for scrap, and a love affair with a woman who married the structure itself. Today, advanced AI technology allows us to transform historical photographs and documents into vivid recreations, bringing the tower's dramatic construction and controversial history back to life. Join me as we uncover the secret history of the Iron Giant, from its scandalous birth through its near-death and ultimate triumph as Paris's most beloved landmark. The impossible dream. Why build it? Paris in 1886 is planning something unprecedented, a universal exposition for 1889, celebrating the centennial of the French Revolution and showcasing France's technological prowess to the world. The organizers want a centerpiece, something that will dominate the exposition and announce France's modernity. They launch a competition, design a tower 1,000 feet tall to serve as the entrance arch. This is insane. Nothing that tall has ever been built. The Washington Monument, completed just 2 years earlier, stands 555 feet and is made of solid stone. A 1,000-foot iron structure seems impossible, a fantasy that will collapse under its own weight or blow over in the first strong wind. But Gustave Eiffel, a 53-year-old engineer who's built bridges, viaducts, and the internal framework for the Statue of Liberty, believes it can be done. Actually, his employees Maurice Couchelin and Émile Nouguier designed the initial concept, but Eiffel bought the patent and made it his own, as was common practice. He refines their design with architect Stephen Sauvestre, adding decorative arches and pavilions to soften the stark industrial appearance. Eiffel's proposal wins the competition, but it immediately triggers a firestorm of opposition. In February 1887, a group of prominent artists, writers, and architects publishes a petition in Le Temps newspaper calling the tower a metal monstrosity, a gigantic black smokestack that will dominate Paris like an odious column of bolted sheet metal. The signatories include Guy de Maupassant, Alexandre Dumas the Younger, and other cultural luminaries who view the tower as an industrial nightmare imposed on the City of Light. They call it this Tower of Babel, claiming it will crush the delicate beauty of Paris's architecture, that future generations will mock France for allowing such ugliness. One architect suggests it will literally lean over and crush the surrounding buildings. Another claims the mathematical calculations are wrong and the tower will collapse during construction, killing hundreds. Eiffel responds calmly and brilliantly. He argues that engineering has its own beauty, that the tower's curves are determined by mathematical formulas resisting wind forces, that function creates form. He writes, "Do not the laws of natural forces always conform to the secret laws of harmony?" It's a radical argument. Industrial design can be aesthetic, engineering can be art. But he also addresses practical concerns. The tower will be temporary, dismantled after 20 years when the land lease expires. This isn't a permanent structure, but an exhibition piece, a demonstration of engineering possibility. This promise, ironically, is what allows construction to proceed. The construction, an engineering marvel. Work begins in January 1887. The foundation alone requires excavating massive pits for each of the 4 legs, sinking them through unstable soil to solid bedrock. The 2 legs closest to the Seine are below the water table, requiring compressed air caissons, underwater chambers where men work in dangerous conditions, breathing compressed air, risking decompression sickness called the bends that can paralyze or kill. The foundation work takes 5 months, but it's crucial. If the legs aren't perfectly level, the tower will lean and eventually collapse. The workers achieve precision within millimeters, an astounding feat with 1880s technology. 4 massive masonry piers rise from the foundations, angled inward, ready to support the iron legs. The iron arrives from Eiffel's factory outside Paris, prefabricated pieces cut and drilled with precision. Every beam, every girder, every rivet hole is calculated in advance. There are over 18,000 individual iron pieces that will be assembled like a massive puzzle. The rivet holes are pre-drilled so precisely that during assembly, workers can simply bolt the pieces together temporarily, then replace the bolts with hot rivets that cool and contract, creating joints stronger than the iron itself. The assembly is done by a crew of just 300 workers, not the thousands you might expect. They're specialists, iron workers, riveters, riggers, men comfortable working at extreme heights without safety equipment that wouldn't exist for decades. They climb the tower as it rises, working on platforms and scaffolding that seem impossibly fragile. Watch them at work. A crane lifts a massive iron beam. Workers guide it into position. Men called riveters heat rivets in portable forges until they're glowing orange. Then toss them to catchers who grab them with special tongs, insert them into pre-drilled holes, and hammer them while still hot. The hammering is rhythmic, musical almost, hundreds of rivets being driven simultaneously, creating a percussion that echoes across Paris. The most dangerous moment comes as the first platform takes shape, 187 feet up, where the 4 legs must join perfectly. If the legs are even slightly misaligned, they won't meet properly, and the entire structure will be compromised. Eiffel uses hydraulic jacks in the legs, allowing precise adjustments. The fit is perfect, and construction accelerates. By December 1887, the first platform is complete. By August 1888, the second platform at 377 feet. The third platform and top, the most difficult because the structure is narrowing and wind forces are strongest, take until March 1889. The entire construction takes just 26 months, a speed that shocks everyone. Only 1 worker dies during construction, a remarkably low casualty rate for such dangerous work, especially impressive compared to other major projects of the era that killed dozens or hundreds. Eiffel's attention to safety, his careful planning, his use of guardrails and safety measures all contributed to this record. The tower opens on March 31, 1889, just in time for the Universal Exposition. Gustave Eiffel climbs the 1,710 steps to the top because the elevators aren't ready yet, and plants the French flag at the summit. Paris has its centerpiece, and the world has a new marvel. The criticism, hating the tower. The artistic opposition doesn't stop when the tower opens. If anything, it intensifies. Critics call it a metal asparagus, a tragic street lamp, Notre Dame of the steel industry. Guy de Maupassant reportedly ate lunch in the tower's restaurant daily because it was the only place in Paris where he couldn't see the tower itself. The criticism is class-based and aesthetic. The tower represents industrial modernity, iron and rivets, and mathematical precision, everything the artistic establishment finds ugly. It's democratic in its construction, simple workers assembling mass-produced parts, while Paris's monuments are aristocratic, crafted by artisans, unique creations. The tower threatens the old order aesthetically, just as industrialization threatens it economically and socially. But the public loves it. During the 6 months of the 1889 exposition, nearly 2 million people visit the tower. They wait hours for the elevators, pay entrance fees that seem expensive but are actually affordable for middle-class families, and climb to platforms offering views of Paris never before possible. The sensation of being that high, of seeing the city laid out below like a map, of feeling the tower sway slightly in wind, it's unlike anything people have experienced. The tower makes money, lots of it. The entrance fees cover most of Eiffel's construction costs within the first year. He's granted the admission revenue for 20 years, after which the tower is supposed to revert to the city and be demolished. But Eiffel is already scheming to make the tower indispensable. The con, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower. One of the tower's strangest chapters involves Victor Lustig, a con artist who pulled off one of history's most audacious scams. In 1925, Lustig reads that the tower needs expensive repairs and has become a maintenance burden for the city. He sees opportunity. Posing as a government official, Lustig invites 5 scrap metal dealers to a secret meeting at a luxury hotel. He explains the government has decided to demolish the tower due to maintenance costs, but the decision is controversial, so it must be kept confidential. He's soliciting bids for the salvage rights, 7,000 tons of valuable steel. The dealers believe him. Lustig is polished, knowledgeable, with official-looking documents and a convincing story. One dealer, André Poisson, eager to break into major Parisian business circles, offers the highest bid. Lustig meets him privately and does something brilliant. He hints that he's open to a bribe to ensure Poisson wins the contract. This request actually increases Poisson's confidence because it fits his expectations of how government officials operate. Poisson pays Lustig a huge sum for the salvage rights, plus a substantial bribe. Lustig immediately flees to Austria with the money. Poisson doesn't report the crime because he's too embarrassed. He was conned and offered a bribe. Reporting would expose him to prosecution. Here's the insane part. Lustig returns to Paris a month later and tries the same scam again with different dealers. This time, someone reports him, and he flees to America, where he eventually gets caught for counterfeiting, not for selling the Eiffel Tower twice. The tower, monument to French pride, was so unloved in the 1920s that conning someone into paying to demolish it seemed plausible. The transformation, from hated to beloved. The tower's transformation from despised industrial eyesore to cherished national symbol happened gradually. During the 1920s and 30s, artistic attitudes shifted. Modernism embraced industrial aesthetics. Artists like Robert Delaunay painted the tower repeatedly, celebrating its geometric forms. Photographers found its angles and perspectives endlessly compelling. The tower became backdrop for romance. Couples proposed beneath it. Postcards featured it. Tourism made it synonymous with Paris itself. By the 1960s, the tower was untouchable, a protected landmark that defined French identity. Maintenance became continuous. The tower is repainted every 7 years, a process requiring 60 tons of paint and taking over a year. Workers abseil down the structure, painting by hand, touching up rust, replacing corroded sections. The iron is inspected constantly. Engineers monitor wind sway, metal fatigue, and structural integrity. The tower requires more maintenance than Eiffel ever imagined, but the city pays willingly. Illumination transformed the tower nightly. Gas lights in the early years gave way to electric floodlights, then sophisticated LED systems that create dazzling light shows. The tower sparkles for 5 minutes every hour after dark, 20,000 light bulbs creating a magical effect visible for miles. It's romantic, commercial, and essential to Paris's identity. The tower has survived everything: artistic hatred, world wars, structural stress, attempted demolition, and the passage of time. It remains the world's most visited paid monument, a triumph of engineering that became a triumph of art, proving Eiffel's original argument that industrial design could be beautiful. The legacy, what the tower means. The Eiffel Tower's significance extends far beyond its physical presence. It proved that iron, the industrial material of bridges and factories, could create something people loved, not just tolerated. It demonstrated that height was achievable, inspiring the skyscrapers that would reshape cities worldwide. It showed that temporary structures could become permanent if they captured public imagination. The tower also represents a shift in who creates monuments. Medieval cathedrals were built by anonymous craftsmen for the glory of God and King. The Eiffel Tower was built by named engineers and workers, celebrated for human achievement and technological progress. It's democratic in conception and execution, a monument to human capability rather than divine favor or royal power. Every year, 7 million people visit, taking elevators to platforms offering views across Paris. They see the city Haussmann redesigned, the Seine snaking through ancient neighborhoods, the hills of Montmartre and Sacré-Cœur, the modern towers of La Défense in the distance. They see how Paris balances old and new, how the tower that once threatened to destroy the city's beauty now defines it. The tower appears in thousands of films, millions of photographs, countless paintings and drawings. It's shorthand for Paris, for France, for romance and revolution and artistic achievement. When terrorists attack Paris, people worldwide project the French flag onto the tower in solidarity. When France wins the World Cup, the tower lights up in celebration. It's become inseparable from French national identity. Understanding the Eiffel Tower's secret history reveals how monuments gain meaning. The tower wasn't loved because it was beautiful in conventional terms. It was eventually loved because it endured, because it proved useful, because it witnessed history, because millions of personal moments happened in its shadow. Beauty and meaning aren't just inherent qualities, they're created through time, use, and shared experience. The iron giant that almost never existed, that was supposed to be demolished, that artists called a monstrosity, became the world's most beloved landmark, not despite its controversial origins, but perhaps because of them. It reminds us that what seems radical today might become essential tomorrow, that the future isn't always pretty, but it's always coming, and that sometimes the best monuments are the ones we almost didn't build. This was the secret history of the Eiffel Tower, from its scandalous birth to its triumph as the world's most iconic structure. If you enjoyed this journey through the Iron Giant's hidden past, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss where we're going next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the past.